All right, this is lesson 2.3, and we are going to talk about multiplying fractions today. Um, this is the more simple concept that we learn in this chapter. When you multiply fractions, we can look at simplifying diagonally or up and down, or we can save our simplifying to the end. So today's main lesson is how to multiply fractions and then simplify them. All right, we're going to start with our do now problem. These are the spiral review from the last lesson, and this is on page 86 of your book. And I also put some tips in there so you can pause now and do these problems, or you can look at them in your book. Okay, here's the answers to those problems. So for the first one, we are having to compare these two numbers, so we have to turn this into a decimal. I stick my just use the fraction part, stick the bottom on the outside of the fraction and divide. Shoot your decimal straight up. Should get 312 thousandths. We would add that here, and then we can compare those two numbers. And remember, when you compare numbers that have a decimal in them, we start with the largest place value first. If that's the same, we go to the next largest place value, and then we see a 3 and a 4. 4 is larger, so the mouth is open to the number that has the larger digit. Okay, then we do a little multiplying here. You should have 594 is the amount of stamps, the amount the stamps are worth altogether, $594. All right, next, it's talking about a trail in this problem, and in the morning they go 4 15/100ths of a mile, and then it says the whole trail is 6 5/10ths of a mile. So we do 6 5/10ths, subtracting the amount they already went, which was the 4 15 thousandths. I had to put this placeholding 0 up here so I could take away, because this would be just a blank space because we need to make sure we line up our decimals. Then I get that in the afternoon that they would go 2 35/100ths of a mile in the afternoon. So here was our morning mileage, afternoon mileage, and they want the difference between the two. So over here I subtracted. So she hiked 1 8/10 of a mile more in the morning than she hiked in the afternoon. Okay, this next problem was a greatest common factor problem. And so you could list all the multiplication problems that make these two numbers and just find the greatest common factor, which would be 6. Or you can do the prime factorization method, where you find the prime factors, put them in the Venn diagram, and multiply the ones that are the same in each number. So that's how I found out how many books per page. I did feel like this question was written a little strange, and it was hard to understand exactly what to do. I still think that I even looked at the answer, and I feel like the answer that they had in the book doesn't exactly answer the question. So I kind of, I understand if this one was a little bit confusing. So we started with 48 books or movies, can't remember, books, and we divide that by the 6th book per package, and you find out that you'll get 8 packages of science fiction. Take the 30 mysteries, divide that by 6, 5 packages packages of mysteries, 5 mysteries in each package, I guess, and then total packages would be 13. If you do not understand this part, I do want you to definitely understand the greatest common factor part. Hopefully you definitely found the 6. But if you got down here and wasn't sure exactly what to do, I did think that question was worded a little bit strangely. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is a review from last year, just normal multiplying. When you have fractions, you multiply the numerator, multiply the denominator. For 4/10ths, and then I see both of those numbers are even. So when they're even, I can divide them both by 2. See if I've gotten down to my simplest form, and I did. So 2/5 is the simplest form. This year, we add mixed numbers into our problem. A mixed number has a whole number part, like this big 1, and it also has a fractional part, the 1/4. In order to multiply fractions, you will need to change mixed numbers into improper fractions, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. Okay, So we talked about, there were some high school teachers that came down and talked to us a few years back about having us all call it the wheel. This is called doing the wheel. And the wheel is that you will take your denominator, multiply it by how many wholes, because a denominator means how many pieces are in that whole pie, right? So this whole pie has 4 pieces. So I have those 4 pieces, plus I have this extra piece on top. So you multiply times the number of pies, your number of pieces times pies, and add the extra pieces. So that's how you get the 5/4. So denominator just stays the same. To get the numerator, you multiply and then add. So here we would change this to an improper or top-heavy fraction, would be 5/4. We're going to be doing some more of those. I'm probably going to spend a little bit of time on that in class, just going over it a little bit, making sure you understand how to do that. So I'll make sure we get more practice on doing the wheel and turning those numbers into improper fractions. So here's some that you will definitely need to turn these into improper fractions. What I'd like you to do is pause the video right now and write down these 3 steps, because I will have you go back to these steps over and over, okay? So we rewrite, step 1, rewrite mixed numbers as improper fractions. So our denominators stay the same for each of these 2 fractions. Then we do the wheel. We multiply and then add our numerator. So here I have 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Here I do the wheel, and I multiply, then add. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2, 4, 5. So 3, 4, 5. 5 goes on the top. Now I multiply, or you can even add a step here that you could simplify first before you multiply, or you can simplify at the end. This one I can't simplify right now because I'm looking at, there isn't a number that goes into 4 and 5 or a number that goes into 3 and 5. So we're just going to multiply 25 over 12. Now we have to change this back into a mixed number. And that's that 3rd step. So what we need to do is we think about this. The top number means we have 25 pieces of pie. Each pie has 12 pieces. So how many whole pies can I make out of 25 pieces? Well, we could stick our bottom out and divide into 25. That would go in there twice. So can I make 2 whole pies out of 25 pieces? How many pieces would be left over? Well, 12 plus 12 is 24. 12 plus 12 is 24. So if I take away the 24 that I already used up in that 2, I have 1 left over. Let's check and see if our math works out the same way. 2 and 1/12. All right, we need to do this one together so you guys have a chance to practice. And when you have a whole number, you can just easily make that into a fraction by putting that whole number right over 1. Okay, so write that down. Okay, next we can look. There's a story about, remember the story about the cup of sugar, that these neighbors don't get along. The neighbors upstairs and the neighbors downstairs don't get along. So if an upstairs neighbor needs a cup of sugar, they need to go to the downstairs level to get it. So we look up and down, see if there's any number that can be evenly divided by the same thing. This is our simplify step. So yeah, I see a 4 and a 6. Those are both even, so I could divide them both by 2. Half of 4 is 2. Half of 6 is 3. So let me rewrite this problem. Okay, I don't see anything else that I can simplify by going on diagonals or up and down, so I multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators, and I have an improper fraction. So we want to see how many groups of 3 can I make out of 10 pieces. I can make 3 groups of 3 out of 10 pieces. That will use up 9 of my pieces. So 10 minus 9 is 1, and then you keep the denominator the same. Okay, let's look at this one. This one, we have 2 mixed numbers that we need to turn into improper fractions. So, first step, we need to do the wheel for each number. When you do the wheel, you're going to write your answers right underneath what you get, right? Denominator stays the same for both of them. So this one stays a 9, this one stays a 7. And the wheel tells us to multiply, then add. So 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. Then I do the wheel on this one. 7 pieces times the 4 pies. 7 times 4 is 28, plus the 1 extra piece is 29. Now I look to see, is there anything that can be simplified here? Yes. 28 is a multiple of 7, right? 7, 14, 21, 28. So 4 times 7 is 28. 7 fits into 28 4 times, and 7 fits into 7 1 time. So for those, we just divided by 7 on both of those. So that gets it down to a little bit smaller numbers before we go ahead and multiply, which will make our problem a lot easier. Let's go ahead and multiply. 9 times 1 is 9. And then 29 times 4, I have to go off to the side to do that one, is 116. But are we done? Nope. We have a top-heavy fraction there. It's like a balloon on top that's too big and too heavy, and the whole thing is going to tip over. So when it tips over, remember that you stick your bottom out on the outside of your division symbol. 9 goes into 11 once, and 9 goes into 26 twice, with a remainder of 8. So I have 12 and 8/9. So I have 12 as my whole number, 8 is my remainder, and 9 is the number I'm dividing by. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and then I'm going to start a new video for that last problem that's on Think Central. That's a tough one, just for you to watch how to do it. I'm hoping that it will help you when you go to do your Think Central assignment. So these are your notes for today. Go ahead and upload notes from this activity that we just talked about, and then watch that last video to get some help with the difficult problem on Think Central. Okay.